So I made a video about the GFL not too long ago. It was more so just about Tony Ferguson being signed to the GFL and how that's going to just further damage his life and shorten his lifespan. But there is now a newer trend. Not too long ago, I mentioned Karate Combat, and I talked about Karate Combat basically being this hub for retired UFC fighters or UFC fighters who have gotten cut and want to continue fighting on the biggest stage. But now the GFL is also seeming to kind of engage in a pattern here, and the pattern that I would say the GFL is kind of engaging in is sort of one that is of a retirement home resemblance. I think the GFL is now acting like a retirement home for old fighters. And I especially think this because I just went on Twitter and saw that the GFL is apparently trying to get a fight together between Yoel Romero and UFC legend Shogun Rua. And Yoel Romero is also a UFC legend as well. So UFC legends Yoel Romero and Shogun Rua. They're trying to get a fight between the two. Both of them are old, really old. Yoel Romero is still aging really well. He's still athletic. Shogun Rua not so much. He got finished by fucking Ihor Poteria. So obviously I think Yoel's gonna win it if the GFL is even like a real fucking organization. But still, it's interesting to see what the GFL is trying to do, because if you're looking at it closely, it's seeming like the GFL, like I said, is becoming the new MMA retirement home for old fighters. They may soon sign fucking Tyron Woodley. They may get Cowboy Cerrone. I know Cowboy's trying to fucking return to the UFC, but I've said again and again, Cowboy is kind of too old to be making a return to the UFC. So if I'm right that the UFC probably ain't gonna let Cowboy fully return, Cowboy may make a move to the GFL. A lot of other older fighters. The GFL may even fucking sign McGregor. If Conor can't get healthy enough and straight enough to get back to the UFC, he may have to fucking make a right turn and hit the GFL. So yeah, it's just interesting. It's interesting to see the moves that the GFL is making, and it's also interesting. It's also interesting to predict the future moves the GFL will be making, because the GFL apparently also signed Dylan Dennis. Dylan Dennis isn't too old. Dylan Dennis also apparently has a boxing match against KSI coming up. So it's just weird. The whole GFL shit is weird. I don't know whether it's like fully serious or not. A lot of respected MMA channels are talking about the GFL, so I guess I would have to assume that it is real. But anything could happen within the next couple of months. Maybe they go bankrupt. Maybe they don't truly have enough money to support everything they're trying to do. We just honestly have to wait and see. But the Shogun Rua Yoel Romero fight kind of just did it for me in terms of me having to bring the GFL up again on my channel. But again, weird, kind of still wholesome, because they're giving older fighters a platform to fight on again. And it seems to be fair too, because they're only giving the older fighters other older fighters, with the exception of an apparent Tony Ferguson versus Dylan Dennis fight that they kind of also teased, but I don't know if it will ever actually happen. It's just weird. All of it is weird. Don't really know. I don't really know what to give you besides that. But now I also remember that Tony also, or maybe that was Tony signing to the GFL. I also have this recent memory of Tony signing with some other organization, but that just might have been the GFL in general. Overall, it's just weird, man. The whole GFL thing is weird. I think retired fighters should just stay retired. I know they all miss like the call of the fans and the lights and all the other shit. I get it, but there's a point where you just get too old for shit. And watching two old men fucking square off, while it kind of sounds fun, I don't think it'll be fun, because their athleticism, their power, all of that is gone. They're just two old guys that are just kind of throwing pretty slow overhands and pretty slow hooks, and Maybe won't even go in for takedowns because of how brittle their knees probably are, and just shit like that. Just slow down fighters. And a prime example of that is how Tony Ferguson has looked in his last few UFC fights. Tony Ferguson has been cut from the UFC, and he was recently cut after like a 7-fight losing streak. Just getting worse and worse as each fight progressed. So it's a sad watch. It's quite frankly concerning for all of these old fighters the GFL is signing. But only time will tell how it fully pans out. But overall, you let me know what you think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see you all in the next.